comic book people of the world, the third issue to Mako Finn is out from Class Comics. This was written by Patrick Fillion and it was illustrated by Alexander. The previous artist for Mako Finn happened to be Jacob Mott. Unfortunately though, he's no longer doing comic books, so the reins of this title was handed over to Alexander. If you're not familiar with Mako Finn, I've already done reviews on issues numbers 1 and 2. Check them out on YouTube when you get a chance. But luckily though, at the beginning of this issue, Class Comics does give a bit of a recap for those who are just joining in. Major spoilers ahead, I'm warning you now in advance. The character of Mako Finn is an aquatic superhero in the Class Comics universe who can breathe underwater, and he also has the ability to communicate telepathically with undersea life. There's an elemental being known as Vagan who's come out of a centuries-long slumber, and he's seemingly a villain at first where he draws out energy from men who come near him, and his story being released was in Class Comics Hookups issue number 1. Meanwhile, the villainous character Piranha is kidnapping men at sea, and he's experimenting on them, creating sort of like mutation sea creatures. He's also constructed a huge mechanical megalodon. Mako's friend Warren had seemingly been killed, however it turns out he was just captured by Piranha himself and turned into one of these giant shark being things, which is similar to other shark beings created by Piranha. However, he has the ability to control his metamorphosis from human to shark being thing. Now, Piranha is pretty darn evil and he has his own agenda at play, but the main story being focused on is the character of Vagan and his revelation as to what Mako Finn's origin, or at least his family's origin, is. We get a great reunion between Mako and his mom. There's also a great reunion between Mako Finn and Byron Durand, also known as Space Cadet, sometimes known as the new Naked Justice. The issue still leaves off on a very ominous note where Piranha is at large and he has another plan at play, with him having new test subjects to create even more powerful beings. At the end of this issue, there's a small interview between Robert Frazier and Alexander, the new artist for this book, as to what it's like to take over the reins for this book. There's also a statement by writer-artist Patrick Fillion about how he does know that there are some similarities between this character of Mako Finn and certain other aquatic beings in other comic books, but this story was planned out years in advance before certain similarities may be put together. So I do respect that a lot, and I can see that there are many people, including myself, who compare certain characters in comic books being related or at least being inspired by other comic books and other series. Included in this book are alternate cover galleries, individual character pieces, some of which have been drawn by other artists. We get some artist sketches as well, and the silent edition of this issue as well, which happens to be the exact same comic book story at the very beginning, but without all of the word bubbles and word thoughts, so you can appreciate the art itself. So I love this comic book a lot. I love the idea of having Space Cadet Byron Durand cross over into this, where we have the idea that maybe Mako Finn can cross over into other books himself. Maybe he can join the superhero team. There's a lot of potential being that his character has barely been tapped up to this point, so I'm excited to see what stories are going to come out. This is a Class Comics title, so I do need to mention there is a lot of gay sexuality in it, and I mean like a lot. Like really a lot. There was a certain panel where I was thinking, wow, that's going to be stretched out for his entire life. But I thought it was pretty darn awesome. Anyways though, if you're interested in reading this issue, you want to go to classcomics.com and you can download a digital version from them. With that, thank you guys for watching me in this video. If you haven't done it yet, check out my Patreon site, check out my social media sites, check out my websites, and everything else out there. Peace, love, namaste, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. We kind of sort of had an underwater tentacle thing happen in this issue, but not really. I'm hoping that in future issues we will see a full-on tentacle monster undersea thing happen, because that would be awesome.